Looks like the Red Sox may have some new injuries to deal with coming into the season. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. Yeah, the Red Sox got some new injury updates that we got to talk about. Unfortunately, these could be some that could have a pretty decent impact on how the Red Sox look come opening day this year. So we're going to break them all down, what our levels of concern should be with these injuries and where these guys are at. But before we get into that, just a heads up, we are going to be live tonight right here on this channel, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be talking all the latest goings on with Red Sox spring training, some roster battles that are taking shape, as well as some predictions coming into the regular season. So if you guys want to talk more Red Sox baseball live and in person, again, that's going to be tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on this channel. Thank you very much for listening to that spiel. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with Trevor Story, who was scratched from yesterday's game. We didn't really have a full answer to it. We did later find out that it was because of mild upper back tightness, and he was scratched as a precautionary measure. I know the immediate reaction with Trevor Story is to sort of, oh my God, the sky is falling type reaction, right? Oh crap, here we go again. And honestly, that's kind of warranted given the fact that, let's say Trevor Story's had some issues staying healthy through the duration of his contract so far with the Red Sox. So every time you hear anything about an injury with Story, it's like, ah, crap, here we go again, right? I wouldn't get that far just yet. It doesn't really sound like this is something that's going to affect him long term. In fact, Alex Cora gave us a bit more insight after the game. Quote, he's doing okay. He's just tight. He was taking grounders today, felt it a bit. He should play tomorrow, aka today. It sounds like he was just sore and they didn't want to push him through anything given that it's spring training. Right now, it sounds like a very typical spring training injury, right? Where you sit here for a couple of days and you're like, oh man, please, 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 right? Your fingers are crossed. You're like, we're so close to the regular season. Just get there, get healthy. We need you out there. And then by the time the regular season rolls around, you've completely forgotten about this injury in total, and he's back and ready and playing like normal. Very, very typical spring training injury. I wouldn't be super concerned just yet. Even if he's out for a couple of days, 2 or 3 games or whatever, I'm still not really concerned. My concern level would hit points of, okay, crap, what are we going to do when it misses like 4 or 5 games? And it doesn't really sound like that's going to be the case. Definitely something to keep your eye on, though, as obviously Trevor Story hasn't exactly had a stellar history with his injury record, so every time this happens, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. If this does end up becoming a bigger thing, I honestly don't know which way the Red Sox go. Do they go Marcelo Meyer, who's looked honestly ready to go this spring training? Do they go with Nick Sogard? They have some options there, so it's not like the sky would totally fall out if Trevor Story did end up on the IL, but again, this one was just simply precautionary. I had to include it in here because I saw a lot of people immediately overreacting to this news, so I wanted to sort of give you all the information so you have it and can make a really educated reaction to this kind of news topic. But yeah, Trevor Story's dealing with something. We'll sort of see today how it shapes up and whether or not he's back in the lineup. So really, this one could genuinely be a bit of a nothing burger. Unfortunately, a couple of guys on this list we can't say the same for. One of those guys is Brayan Bello. Alex Cora announced yesterday that he's officially going to be starting the season on the IL. I don't know if it really should come as a shock to anyone, really. It was always a possibility. We knew he was looking a lot better. We knew he was going about things in a way that was ramping himself up for the regular season. It just so happens that he's too far behind everyone else to really be ready for that first series come opening weekend. He is throwing live BPs. Alex Cora saying, we talked to Brian, he's behind, so he's not going to be with us opening day. Just doesn't make sense to push him and rush everything, and then something major happens. So he's throwing a live BP tomorrow. He's going to be a part of it, but he's behind, so we'll take care of him. This definitely sucks considering the Cutter Crawford news we got earlier this week as well, that he will definitely be on the IL, but this is why you've got this sort of depth that you built out, right? This is why you traded Verdugo, you traded Nick York for these guys like Fitz and Priester, maybe weren't scheduled to be a big part of the Red Sox coming into the 2025 season, but now you have them. You've got these guys in here that can come in here and take over these spots and hopefully give you solid production for the first couple of weeks. The sort of silver lining here with Brayan Bello is he's really not too far behind. It sounds like he's going to start the year on the 10-day or even the 15-day IL and miss maybe the first 2 or 3 starts of the regular season. Nothing that sounds like he's going to be out for months. In fact, the plan right now with Brayan Bello is to have him throw 4 innings in the first series of Worcester's regular season, which happens to be the same weekend of the Red Sox regular season. So Bello will be in game action by opening day. It just won't be with the Red Sox. What this leads me to believe is that he's probably only going to miss 1 or 2 starts. Yeah, by the end of the year, you're probably going to forget the fact that he was even on the IL to start the season. He's probably still going to get 27, 28 starts here in the regular season. So bad news is Bello will be joining Cutter Crawford on the IL to start the year. Now you've got 2 pitchers down coming into the season. The good news is he's definitely a lot further along than Cutter Crawford is, and you've got that depth, and you're probably only going to miss him for 1 or 2 starts, right? This could be a whole lot worse, so I'm sort of taking the good with the bad here. We'll see kind of where he ends up IL-wise, whether it's 10 or 15. It definitely won't be the 60-day, which I guess is a good thing, right? Obviously. As for the other injuries on this video, Lucas Giolito, man, this poor dude. Poor Lucas Giolito came into the very first game he was able to start since coming back from that internal brace surgery. And on the very first pitch of his spring training debut, he felt some tightness in his hamstring and was pulled after just 1 inning. He's pretty confident that this won't end up being a big thing. That's why he pushed through that first inning of work here. His quote after the game was, "Things happen, injuries happen. I wouldn't even categorize this as an injury really at this point. Just felt like it got tight on me. Just going to go do the protocol, get it looked at, and it shouldn't be too bad." That's good news, right? Always good when a player's pretty positive about an injury update. However, right, a lot of the times these guys say things like this and then end up getting shut down because ultimately they don't have true control over when they can play again. Alex Cora seemed to be in a similar boat. He did say that they are going to get an MRI done as per the protocol that Lucas Giolito was just talking about. His quote was, "Hopefully it is nothing major and he can make his next start." If he can make his next start and it really is nothing major, then yeah, absolutely, this is a nothing burger, right? This means absolutely nothing, and Lucas Giolito is still on track to start the season with this team. Right now, his projected first start with the Boston Red Sox, Alex Cora announced, was going to be that first game against the Baltimore Orioles, which would have been the 5th game of the Red Sox season. He's kind of on a razor-thin line right now based on the fact that he's still building up from that internal brace surgery, right? Any sort of straying from that path, he's going to end up on the IL, and this very well could be it. Even if he's out for or misses 1 start here in spring training, it's going to be really hard for him to be fully ready to go for that 5th start this season. And again, you go back to, okay, that probably means an IL stint to start the year, right? And that's sort of where I'm at with this Lucas Giolito thing. A little bit different than Story, right? Story can miss 2 or 3 games here, maybe even 3 or 4, and still be ready for opening day. Lucas Giolito, on the other hand, because he gets already so many limited starts in spring training, and because of the fact that each one of those starts was really critical considering his internal brace surgery, any sort of delay in that is going to be a big problem. So I'm a bit more concerned with this Lucas Giolito news than I am with this Trevor Story news. But again, this could end up being one of those extremely typical spring training injuries where it feels like the end of the world right away, and then by the time opening day comes, we totally forget that Lucas Giolito even had an issue this spring training. And my hope is that it's in that boat, but this is absolutely something to pay attention to. We are going to get more information on Thursday when the MRI results do come back, and if it is something major, obviously we will talk about it right here on this channel. If it isn't, and you don't get a video from me about it, well then, you can assume no news is good news here. And finally, the last one, I have no idea where to place this. I don't think it's technically an injury report because it really doesn't feel like it has anything to do with an injury, but it's also not that he's fully healthy. I don't really know what's going on here. Rafael Devers' debut for spring training got pushed back yet again. Now the goal originally was Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday this week. Now it's Saturday, Sunday of this week. Got pushed back again. And the reason I say that this isn't because of injuries, because right now on the backfields, he's facing live pitching. He's facing Crochet and Buehler. Like, you don't go up against those two guys for, I think it was 8 ABs yesterday, with the intention of battling through an injury, right? If you were battling through an injury, you probably wouldn't be facing any of these guys, specifically not your best pitcher and not a guy like Walker Buehler. You'd be facing probably minor league players once or twice a day trying to get that rhythm going. I think this still has a lot to do with his timing. I'm not totally overly concerned with Rafael Devers at this point. I'm at like a 20% concern level, especially if the idea is for him to start the year as a DH with the Red Sox, which I think is what most people want him to do. I don't really care that he gets reps at third base in spring training, right? Because that would be mostly what he'd be going into these spring training games doing. I honestly think if he's going to be the DH, this might be a little bit better, right? Because if you're going into spring training games, you're probably facing a whole lot of minor league players. If you're on the backfields only facing Garrett Crochet and Walker Buehler, and you're working on your timing, I think you're probably a bit more beneficial with those guys than you are with facing, I don't know, an Adam Ottavino type player for the Miami Marlins or whatever. I think this might honestly end up being absolutely nothing. I think if we get to the point this Saturday or this Sunday and Rafael Devers still isn't in games, yeah, then I'm going to start getting kind of concerned with his status for opening day. But for now, I'm going to let the best hitter on this team dictate how he wants to get ready for this season, right? I think at this point in his career, Rafael Devers knows where he needs to be ready for March 27th. I think Alex Cora knows where he needs to be. I think the team knows where he needs to be. I don't think us as fans really have any impact on that. We could sit here and we could say, oh, he needs to get in-game action. Maybe not, right? Maybe he just does need to face only major league pitchers for the next 2 weeks and then be ready for opening day and then hit missiles down in Arlington like he's done for the last 6 years of his career. So I don't really know where to place this one, right? Is it an injury update? Is it more of a timing update? I don't think it's an injury, right? Again, you go back to 8 ABs against one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball in his prime, Walker Buehler, and one of the most exciting pitchers in Major League Baseball in Garrett Crochet, especially Crochet being a lefty. I don't think it's an injury issue, so we'll kind of see what ends up happening with Rafael Devers. But overall, I feel like I jinxed the Red Sox. I feel like I jinxed this team. We make a video about them possibly being favorites for the AL East now, and then all of a sudden, 2 days later, I'm making a video about all these guys having things pop up that could delay them for opening day. I really hope, baseball gods, please tell me I did not curse this Red Sox team. But the good news here is, one, a lot of these injuries either aren't injuries at all with Devers or they're very minor, right? Trevor Story, Lucas Giolito, even Brayan Bello to some degree are minor injuries that shouldn't affect the whole 162 season. It may affect, 10, 12 games of it, but it probably isn't going to affect months and months of the regular season. The other good silver lining here is that, again, you sit here this year and things feel different, right? You still have Crochet, Houck, and Buehler at the front line of that rotation, and you've got guys like Priester and Fitz, who you probably didn't want to have as your number 4 starter coming into the year, but also can keep you afloat and should be able to keep you afloat for a couple of weeks and still be able to be a competitive baseball team. And it sounds like both of these guys at this point, especially if Lucas Giolito ends up going down, are going to be big parts of the 2025 Red Sox to begin the year. So we'll kind of see what ends up happening. A couple of guys to keep your eye on, definitely, as we figure out the rest of spring training. But again, nothing crazy serious. I'm still optimistic about this Red Sox team despite these injuries and despite apparently the fact that I jinxed the Boston Red Sox. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think? Is there anything in here that stands out to you as sort of a, oh my God, we definitely need to be paying attention to this type thing? Is there anything in here that you're like, I don't even know why we're covering this? Or is there any other injury that you're sitting there saying, I can't believe no one's talking about it? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, the best way to do that is to head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. I will see you tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on YouTube, and of course, in the Red Seats.